Hello, welcome to Art Made Easy by Shingundam. Today I'm gonna show you how to draw Victor from Yuri on Ice. Here's my trusty free pen that you can get pretty much anywhere. Okay. As usual, those who've been with me before, I always recommend that you start with what they call the circle. Okay. And this line over here is where you start your ellipse. Okay. And from your ellipse, I always recommend you draw a straight line down. Okay. I'm drawing sideways, so if they're not straight, that's why. And of course, your neckline. And Victor is not a manly man per se as far as anime characters go. So that means you follow the rule of females, which means you do a 30-degree triangle at the base of the neck. Okay, and that's where the shoulders would be. The end of the shoulders would be right there at the base end of the triangle. Okay, so as you can see, you have the basic common anatomy for most. Well, actually, Victor's features are pretty close to human, other than the eyes and, other than the facial features, they're pretty close to human. So this is your standard human anatomy as far as, your mannequin goes. So we have our mannequin set up. So with our mannequin, the same rules apply. If you go a little bit lower, that's the base of the eyes. And from the bottom of your circle on a human, that would be where your nose is. And between that, between the ridge of the nose and the chin, in between would be the mouth. So let's start that over. At the base of the first circle would be your nose. In between the eyeline would be the ridge of the neck, nose, and then between the nose and your chin would be your mouth. Okay, so now we're going to highlight the bottom of his chin. And then his jawline. Okay. Now, the ears. Okay. So now that we have the basic down there, now the eyeline. Victor has, like most anime characters, their hair usually drops down and covers part of their eyes. I would start with the hair only because they would impede with the eyes. You can do, some people start with the eyes, that's up to you. It's just less erasing this way. Like so. So now you have an idea. Now remember, this little area that I lined earlier would be your eye line. Now the eyes, there's a lot of anime eyes. I'll get into that later on which eyes to draw. So for now we'll go we'll treat each anime character as its own, because they are in anime they're what they call villainized, which would be your Vegeta, Ikichi. Heroized would be your Deku and your Goku. You'll notice this. There's actually a classification for these, but we'll go with that later on. And of course the neckline. And then his shirt. Now it always helps if you do one side first. And the reason why, that way you have an idea of symmetry. And all you have to do is basically copy that side. Okay. So as you can see, you have basic Victor right here. And then you can add the shadings later on, if you wish. So that's Victor for you. So now we're going to go through application. And again, I always recommend to put a sheet of paper underneath while you draw, so that way it won't imprint on what you're drawing on, or let's say you're on a wood table, the wood won't imprint on your drawing, because you don't want those ridges on your drawing. Okay, so we're gonna do everything what we did here except a cleaner version. Always start at what you think is hardest. In this case, I would start with the hair. And it's always different per character. Always start at the hardest part of the character, only because that way if you do make a mistake, you know you can recover and you can throw away that piece of paper and start over without feeling too bad. Now the hair technique, it differs per character and depends on your style. Right now we're doing Victor, so we really don't have much to say on what we're going to do with his hair. And we're learning on how to draw Victor as everybody knows him, so we really can't make much changes. That way he's recognizable as Victor. So right now we have Victor's hair. And the reason why I started with the hair is that way I know how much of his eyes is going to show. And his eyebrows. Yuri on Ice, the characters are still anime, they're not realistic, but they're probably as close to realistic anime as you can get. I would probably say 9 out of 10 out of anime realism. Okay. So as you can see, you can start seeing the details there. Now hands, we'll get into hands later on. That itself is a is another lesson in itself. And remember what I said earlier, Victor is not a manly man as far as anime standards. Your first clue would be his hands. As you can see, they're not exactly masculine hands. Then we do the shirt collar. Put a pin. And then the tie that he wears. And that's it. There's Victor for you. So once you master basically the basic anatomy, and if you practice, this part comes naturally. Thank you. Have a good day.